So, how does one guy, a notorious pirate with a whole empire hunting him down, end up completely redrawing the map of the world? Today, we're diving into the incredible story of Sander Trailbreaker and how a nation was literally forged in defiance. Let's get into it.
Okay, so our story kicks off right here in Southland. If you look at a map, it's just another territory in the massive Gambrian Empire. But, under the surface, there's this tension that's just about to explode, all thanks to one seriously angry emperor and one incredibly defiant pirate.
And this quote, this really gets to the core of the whole conflict. See, the Gambrian emperor didn't just dislike Sander Trailbreaker. He hated the man. And why? It all came down to these things called lore stones. Every single blue stone was a living reminder of a prisoner Sander had freed, a walking, talking symbol of betrayal that the emperor had to see every single day. So you might be wondering, how in the world does a wanted pirate get mixed up with the regular folks of Southland? Well, like a lot of great stories, it all started with a really desperate problem that demanded a really desperate solution. The big problem was basically state-sponsored piracy. The Duke of Shaw, the guy who was supposed to be protecting the Sealands, was using his own navy to bully and rob merchant ships. Trade was getting completely choked off, and nobody in the imperial government seemed to care at all. So the merchants of Southland, with their backs against the wall, did something completely wild. They held a secret meeting and came up with this plan that was it was equal parts brilliant and insane. Their idea? If the government's navy is going to act like pirates, then let's hire a real pirate to take them on. And they didn't just pick anyone. They went right for the top, the most infamous pirate out there, Sander Trailbreaker himself. And you know what? The crazy plan actually worked for a little while. But a deal this explosive couldn't stay a secret forever. And when the emperor found out, his reaction wasn't just about politics. Oh no. It was personal. Remember those blue lore stones we talked about? Well, the emperor's grudge against Sander went way back. Years before all this, Sander was actually a naval officer, and he was ordered to take a bunch of prisoners to this awful place called the Trail of Lament. But instead of following orders, he set them all free. That's how he got his name, Trailbreaker, and it's how he earned the undying hatred of the emperor. And let's be crystal clear about what the Trail of Lament actually was. This wasn't just some prison camp. It was a death sentence. You were sent into these diseased lands to die a slow, miserable death. So for Sander to defy that, to rescue people from that fate, it was a massive slap in the face to the emperor's authority. So when the emperor, absolutely furious, sends his army to crush Southslan, everything just falls apart, and it happens so fast. The Duke of Southslan literally drops dead from a heart attack. The Duchess grabs all the money and runs off with the head of the army. And the rest of the military, instead of fighting for the empire, just mutinies. Imperial control in Southslan basically evaporated overnight. With the local government in total chaos and the imperial army marching south, this wasn't just a local dispute anymore. This was it. This was an all-out war for the independence of Southland. And just get a sense of the scale here. You've got the Gambrian Empire, this absolute behemoth that spans a continent, and then you have this one little province deciding to fight back. But here's the thing. Gambria was an overextended giant. Its armies were spread thin, and more importantly, the emperor was so blinded by his personal vendetta against Sander that he made huge strategic mistakes. But Southland wasn't fighting alone. In another brilliant move, they made Sander Trailbreaker the commanding admiral of their new navy. And because Sander was married to Nika, a princess from the Marisuri Islands, that single act brought a whole new, powerful naval force into the war on their side. And this is where the entire war was won, right here, on the water. The Gambrian Navy had these huge, powerful ships, but they were slow, kind of clunky. The Alliance, though, used smaller, faster ships. They didn't go for big head-to-head battles. No, they were smarter. They hunted in packs, using speed and agility to just run circles around the Imperial fleet. The result? It was a shockingly fast victory. The huge, lumbering empire, led by a guy obsessed with revenge, just couldn't cope with the rebellion. Against all odds, Southland had actually won. They were free. But winning the war is one thing. Building a nation from scratch, that's the really hard part. Sander Trailbreaker, the pirate and the war hero, now had to become a statesman. And honestly, what he accomplished as chancellor was just as legendary as his pirate days. He was the hero of the hour, so they made him their leader. First thing he did, he officially outlawed the Trail of Lament forever. He locked in the alliance with the Marisudi, built a brand new navy, and yeah, he even brought his old pirate crews in to man the ships, and then he pulled off what was basically a diplomatic miracle, a huge trade deal with the super-secretive kingdom of J.R.R. But right at the peak of all this success, Sonder was hit with an unimaginable tragedy. His wife, Nika, died while giving birth to their second child. It was a crushing blow, and by all accounts, he was never quite the same man again. But he had to keep going, for his kids and for the new nation that depended on him. So even through his grief, Sonder kept building. He kept unifying, and in doing so, he created a legacy that would end up shaping the destiny of not just one nation, but two. This timeline really lays out the final, dramatic act of his life. So get this. During that diplomatic trip to Jada, he had a secret affair with their queen, Olissa, and they had a son, Bendrin, who would grow up to become the king of Jada. It's incredible. Years later, Sonder passed away, and after his death, the people of Southland decided to honor him by anointing his daughter, Nyla, as their very first queen. The Dominion of Southland was now the Kingdom of Southland. I mean, just look at the scope of this legacy. It's mind-blowing. Think about it. A single pirate's children ended up ruling 2 different kingdoms. His daughter Nyla, the first queen of Southland, his other son, Trent, became the admiral of Southland's navy, and his secret son, Bendrin, became the king of Jada. Just, wow. And that just speaks to the kind of respect the man commanded. When Sonder Trailbreaker died, the entire world seemed to take notice. And the ultimate sign of respect? Even his old enemies, the notorious Raiders of Butte, sailed by and fired their cannons in salute. From pirate to kingmaker, he'd earned everyone's respect. So, Sonder Trailbreaker carved a new nation out of sheer defiance against a corrupt empire. But it leaves us with this huge, lingering question. When a country's entire identity is born from rebellion, is it just destined to live in a state of conflict forever? Something to think about.